Today we talk about freedom of speech. Not just freedom of speech, but what you're wearing in China may actually lead to jail. Washington recently published a draft amendment to Chinese law which includes new penalties related to clothing and accessories worn in public. Has sparked widespread attention. Observer criticizes the legal perversion as yet another move by the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) to suppress civil liberty, trembling on the citizens' rights to freedom of speech and expression. The CCP's crackdown on the civilians' liberties is intensifying, extending from the controlling freedom of speech to restraining freedom of attire. The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress recently reviewed and released the draft amendment to the Public Security Ministry Punishment Laws of the People's Republic of China. Article 34, Class 2 of the draft, the weighing or forcing others to wear clothes or symbols in public place that harm the spirit of the Chinese nation or hurt the feeling of the Chinese nation will result in detention of 5 to 10 days or fines of 1,000 to 3,000 yuan. In more serious cases, detention of 10 to 15 days may be imposed, along with a fine of up to 5,000 yuan. China's new public security law draft sparked real public criticism from the scholar. State media's commentator admit flaws in content should expressions well so the clothing be criminalized. The CCP authorities are using the Public Security Ministry's punishment law, commonly referred to as the minor criminal law, an administrative law for minor offenses that do not constitute crimes, to restrict and regulate what people wear or display in public, imposing detention and fines. This is seen as another instance of stripping citizens of their freedom of expression through legal perversions. Xi Ling, an independent commentator from the Guangzhou, China, believes that elevating personal clothing and accessories to the levels of harming the spirit of the Chinese nation or hurting the feeling of the Chinese nation and criminalizing it is unjustified. Speaking to Voice of America, he said that wearing clothes is entirely a matter of personal freedom, isn't it? Even if someone expresses a certain meaning, so it doesn't that fall under the scope of free speech. Everyone has a right to express their stance and opinions. Liu Zhenqi, a Guangzhou lawyer whose license was revoked for defending clients' right in court and delivering defense statement, told Voice of America, the former nation of law in China has always been whatever the Communist Party wants. They draft law based on the policy needs. The CCP does whatever it pleases now. Unlike Western countries where lawmaking follows strict procedure, their arbitrariness is very strong. Chen Jianguang, a former Chinese human rights lawyer now living in the U.S., told Voice of America that enacting such a law reflects a distorted reality and the current state of the CCP rule. He says the class the CCP seeks is to amend and framed as hurting the feeling of the Chinese nation is essentially an arbitrary expansion of the behavioral control extending to what people wear, what hairstyle they choose, and what accessories they use, all subject to CCP legal oversight. Chen, now a visiting scholar at American University, added, at its core, this control is the CCP's interference in an individual's life, down to the level of ordinary people's clothing and preference, even whether you like something or not. He noted that the CCP's control over citizens mirrors the tactics of fascist regime and the Soviet authoritarian government, where loving the country and the party become a mandatory requirement. When citizens slightly disagree, the CCP imposes legal punishment, effectively regulating personal thoughts and preference, with or without law. China Act arbitrarily, a Beijing lawyer who requested anonymous responded to a Voice of America email saying that given the state of Chinese nationalism today, the introduction of such a legal provision is highly surprising. Everyone knows it's absurd, but its oppositions effective. Couldn't that deal with you even without law? There were plenty of cases before this law was drafted, like the Suzhou girls in the kimono incident. Chen Jianguang also pointed out that whether this law is amended or not, the CCP has long been enforcing such measures in practice. On August 10, 2022, a woman wearing a kimono was photographing herself on Suzhou's Huihai Street, attempting to cosplay a scene from a Japanese manga. Online videos showing her being loudly reprimanded by local police. You are Chinese, yeah, you are wearing a kimono. The police forcibly dragged her away on the suspicion of provoking trouble. During over 5 hours of restricted freedom, she was subjected to education, forced to delete photo, write a self-criticism, and had her kimono confiscated. On August 15, the anniversary of Japan's unconditional surrender, the video of this incident became a trending topic online. Some support the police claim the girl wearing a kimono hurt the national feeling, and state media's outline CCTV chimed in, saying it's not that we are too sensitive, it's that our experience have been too painful. However, other people defended her freedom to dress as she pleased, arguing that no law prohibits wearing a kimono, and the instance didn't occur at a sensitive time or place. How does wearing a kimono become a crime? They ask, you shouldn't wear suit either. Have you forgotten how our ancestors were oppressed by European powers? Although police visited the woman's home on August 19 to return her clothes and shoes, expressing concern, they offer no apology for their baseness and rough enforcement. The Suzhou kimono girl incident from a year ago raised concerns among observers about whether it meets the legal criteria under the Public Security Administration. Punishment law, namely wearing or forcing others to wear clothing or symbols in public that harm the spirit of the Chinese nation, or hurt its feeling. That worry that once this creations is criminalized, the law in the hand of inconsistent enforcer without a clear standard or measure risk being abused. Abuse of enforcement poses great danger. Xu Ling, the independent commentator, said if this public security law is implemented, how it is interpreted and what constitutes a violation will determine whether it is prone to abuse. A critical issue, he told Voice of America, they talk about hurting national feeling and such, but that's not clear definition. What exactly counts as a hurting national feeling? Without a clear explanation, it's easily left to the discretion of law enforcement. If they say it is, it is. If they say it isn't, it isn't. It becomes a catch-all crime, prone to abuse of power. Liu Zhenqiang, the Guangzhou lawyer, added, "It's not just about suppressing free speech. Some local officials use it to generate revenue and exploit people. It's not only a political issue. Local officials with the economy struggling may use this law to oppress ordinary citizens." Lao Dongyan, a criminal law professor at Tsinghua University, publicly opposed Article 34.2 and 34.3 of the draft amendment to the Public Security Administration Punishment Law on the Weibo. She wrote, "Harming the spirit of the Chinese nation or hurting its feeling is an extremely vague concept. Different people will interpret and apply it in an entirely different way. Using as a legal standard for punishment create overly rigorous criteria, easily leading to the arbitrary expansion of administrative penalties." She warns the vague standards will lead to selective enforcement, abuse of power, new opportunities of corruption, heightened police public tension, and risk to social stability. Professor Now also argued state power directly intervenes in the citizens' daily clothing choice is clearly excessive. Such a legislation could fuel populism or extreme nationalism, further deterioration the public discourse environment, and unduly suppressing personal freedom in everyday attire and speech. Zhao Hong, a professor at China University of Politics, Science and Law, wrote online, "If wearing a kimono for a photo can be interpreted as harming national spirit and warrant punishment, then eating Japanese food, watch anime, or even learning Japanese could easily be deemed offensive to national feeling. A public official can arbitrarily expand and apply the law based on personal bias. We're not far from finding a crime where there is a will." The newly added clause in China's draft amendment to the Public Security Administration Punishment Law regarding wearing or displaying clothing or symbols in public that harm the spirit of the Chinese nation or hurt its feeling has sparked widespread online attention and debate. Lawyer Wang Jing remarked, "I can't comprehend wearing clothing or symbols that hurt the feeling of the Chinese nation. The suits we wear are from the foreigners. The laser shoes are from foreigners. Our hairstyle are from foreigners. Which of those doesn't hurt the national feeling? If we remain silent, one day we will be silenced forever." Online communities overwhelmingly questioned who define hurting national feeling. How is it measured? Does eating Japanese seafood count? Does wearing a cultural revolutionary era clothing count? A citizen on the X former Twitter posted a photo of Deng Xiaoping bowing to Japanese host during a 1978 visit to Japan, pleading for help from the companies like Panasonic and the Japanese government. The post asked, did he commit the crime of hurting the feeling of the Chinese nation? How should he be punished? Others commented, with September 18, a sensitive date tied to Japanese invasion of China. Approaching, does driving a Japanese car count? It hurts national feeling. If you are sick and take Western medicines or visit hospital combining Chinese and Western medicine, does this count? It harm the spirit of the Chinese nation? Though not as extreme as the count is brain law, you could still be taken away, fined, or detained anytime. we will need to be even more careful about what we say, where, or to do. Xu Yilang, editor-in-chief of Tao, expressed concern on social media. Back then, the guy who smashed a competitor's head with a U-lock didn't think he was a bad person doing a bad thing. He just felt that a Chinese person driving a Japanese car hurt his national feeling. Once this law passed, who knows how many righteous people will legally cause public security or even criminal case. In the spring and summer of 2011, amid escalating tension over the Daoyu Island, anti-Japan protests erupted across China. Cai Yang, a 21-year-old worker in the Xi'an, joined a violent demonstration and used a U-lock to smash a Japanese car. When the car owner Li Jianli tried to protect his vehicle, Cai struck him on the head, causing several injuries and a fourth-degree disability. Cai was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Chinese authorities continue to enact laws through the rubber-stamp legislature to restrict rights guaranteed by the Constitution, curbing freedom of speech and expression, and imposing a harsh penalty on violators. The amendment sheet to the criminal laws of China, effective March 1, 2021, is practically criminalized insulting or defaming heroes, and for the first time, previously the Heroes and Protections Law enacted on the May 1st, 2018, addressed such acts through civilian negation, not criminal penalties. In the first conviction under this amendment, the Jianye District Court in Nanjing, Jiangsu Province sentenced former media figure Qi Ziming online on a spicy pinball to 8 months in prison on May 31 for infringing on the reputation and honor of the hero. And so as you can see that freedom of speech or freedom of expression in China is starting to disappear by the CCP's power trying to control everything they can. We may be wondering why CCP is doing this, but if we look into the history, all dictators, right, they're trying to cause some kind of propaganda against other country to make the people's attention not focus on the dictators, not on the corrupt governments, right, but trying to distract them with some other country. It's just a common practice for dictators. Thank you so much.